Hi,
Good morning.
my name's Willows,
And, and my name is Tyler, and
and
this is a shot glass that Willows cleaned on his nips.
true. Welcome to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business, politics, and other stuff, sober, and then drunk,
Progressively drunker.
and then see if we come to the same conclusion while we're intoxicated. How you doing? This is our second episode back since the government made us take a break because we just swagged too hard, or COVID.
Yeah, we got
restrictions
censored. We got censored like
censored
fuck.
by the government.
Yeah, no, we were telling them what they didn't want us to tell you, and then they stopped us from telling you.
Okay,
So,
so we missed we shot everything out of order last episode, and we forgot segments and shit just because we were just not used to this.
that's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. We're learning. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit weird sitting behind a microphone when I don't really talk to people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, at least yeah.
I mean, I get very little bit through my work. I get a couple conversations a day. Girlfriend, which I live with, there's some conversations, but I mean, that's not quite the same. It's just like having this conversation with the same person every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I get a little bit more because I'm still like doing farmers markets and talking to people, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
How are those going?
Not well.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Not well. COVID combined with January just means, yeah,
Yeah, that's fair.
not ideal.
Is it even worth showing up for?
Yeah, I mean, we're still making money, but,
Yeah.
well, and there's like nothing else to do, so
Yeah, fair enough.
I may as well.
It's almost like a social event at this point to go see your friends.
Well,
I mean, other vendors.
my coworkers. Just
Yeah.
kidding. Yeah.
Yell at them from across the room.
Arr!
What happened this week?
Not much, honestly.
Right?
Yeah.
Not a hell of a lot.
The world's, I think, we peaked our exciting meter, and
Honestly,
we've just come back down, and it's
I'm
like,
here for it, man.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah. Although there's a lot of progress to be made in like instability, like stability is the best for, business progress and everything, right? Like having a stable world,
Yeah.
even though you can make a shit ton of money, like war profiteering and, trading on short sell GameStop stocks, if there's nothing exciting going on, you can make like solid progression,
Dependable
slowly,
gains. Yeah.
dependable gains. Yeah.
Where's the fun in that?
I agree. I know you're being sarcastic, but I don't think there is much fun in stability. So therefore,
Well, I mean, you had quite a fun year because of reshuffling, right? Like, it was a below projected growth year. Like, it was less than you could have done.
yeah, more or less.
Yeah, more or less. Like, it wasn't a terrible year, but it wasn't like as
50% growth instead of 100% growth.
exactly. That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
But you did get to reshuffle other things around, which paid its own dividends.
Yeah, it's also hard to tell. It's hard to know. I read a lot of like stock reports and stuff of businesses that are like, their shareholder reports that are like, oh, we only had a down year or a down quarter because of COVID. And then it's like you look and they've had a down quarter like 6 months before COVID as well. It's like, okay, guys. Like,
It's like that Winnipeg nightclub that got shuttered 60 days into the pandemic. And everyone's like, oh, no, look, the first casualty of the pandemic. Oh, no. And
But they hadn't paid rent in 9 months.
yeah, they hadn't paid rent in 9 months. And then like 6 months later, you're like, oh, it was just them that went under.
Yeah.
Everyone else is
Everyone
fine.
else is more or less
Because
fine.
the bailouts here exist
Yeah.
thanks liberal government.
Yeah. It's, I don't know if we're going to see complete like national bankruptcy from all this support, but it is what it is.
I like the comments happening this week about the COVID relief package obviously happening in the States, and there's like whatever 3 proposals on the table. One of them was $2,000 a month recurring every month until a certain benchmark of like unemployment unemployment or whatever the benchmark is crossed, and then those benefits would expire. And everyone's like, "Are you fucking crazy?" Canadians are like,
Whoops.
We've been getting that for 14 months.
Yeah,
Get fucked.
I was just thinking about there's a unit in my building complex that's going up for lease right away or in the next few months.
Yep.
I was thinking, what do you think there's anyone starting business? Like, okay, so there's probably a lot of people starting businesses. Let's start here during the pandemic because they got like laid off from their job.
Yeah.
But
like, same reason I did job, you realize your job security is a farce, and
Yeah.
you're
Even-
like, fuck this.
even good job security
Right.
in quotations can
Yeah.
be not good. Like
Even if you're at the top of your company,
global pandemic happens.
your company could change.
At the end of the day, yeah, if it's not in your control, then it's not in your control, right?
And nothing is.
Yeah.
Nothing is the point.
Yeah, for sure.
So
But
if it's not, you might as well be the owner.
yeah, I always say like, I'd rather fail and it be completely my decision because at least I can live with that better than I can, which I think
Yeah.
a lot of people think the opposite of that. Is that they'd rather fail and it not be their fault because they can blame someone.
Yeah, rather fail and not pay the consequences. I mean, I've been living in that world for a couple years, and I've been able to, quote unquote, fail upwards and fail in between. Thank you. Episode 24, he's changing the whiteboard while we record, per usual. Yeah, I haven't had to suffer a lot of consequences for any failures, which has been nice. But I guess that kind of brings me to what I've been focusing on this week is really working on my list. I literally titled it my list of demands. Basically what I'm proposing to my whatever new business partner / investor, like the things that I want / the things that I need, and then what could be expected in return, and what does that mean. So, very rudimentary business plan. And it's like it's a very anxiety inducing experience as well, because you are talking about like real money, especially if you're taking it from someone that you know. Like it's different than like taking a BDC loan or a futurepreneur loan or a bank loan. Like when it's a personal loan, there's like the personal equity aspect to it.
You feel like, yeah, you're going to let them down if you,
Right.
on top of fucking up their money.
Right, yeah. So I know the guy can afford to lose it, but like
That's not the point.
The disappointment would be way heavier than the debt.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I just realized I'm like, the weight of this is a lot. I get it, and I think that's one of the things that like I really got to get used to is that constant kind of back of your mind weight that I think all business owners have to some respect.
I think so. I think that, sole proprietorship still have, they're letting them, like if we start at the very bottom, it's like, okay, well, sole proprietorship with no friends or family is still letting themselves down if they fail, right? And then there's like sole proprietors with family that's relying on them to succeed. And then you have a business partner, they're relying on you to succeed. And then you get to like my position where I have many employees that are relying on me to succeed, and personal debt and everything you were just saying.
And friends and social equity and reputation. You've been in the news so many times. Like,
yeah,
you have the bigger you get, the more public your failure.
Definitely, yeah. And
it's not a bad thing, but it does feel like it is.
Do you think? But I think for myself that's becomes a positive at a certain point where it's like it's a motivation to get out of bed in the morning.
Oh, 100%. I'm not saying it's a negative thing. I'm just saying like it's a factor that you don't have to deal with. Most people don't have to deal with.
Like in their lives.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit if they get fired. Or I guess they care if they get fired.
Yeah, you care if you get fired. No, it's like in addition to that, it's like it's an extra burden,
Yeah. And how should people deal with that? Just work harder?
I don't think I think the dealing with that is almost more important than most other business skills. Actually, that's what I kind of wanted to talk about today. I've really been thinking about it a lot in the last week. Just with the, what is it, like the Bell Let's Talk?
Yeah.
Which, is that associated to like an official holiday of any kind, or like awareness day?
I think
Mental Health Awareness Day?
Yeah,
Something like
think yeah, for context, the telecom company Bell in Canada does a thing every year called Bell Let's Talk, where they encourage people to go, like, especially like celebrities, to go on social media and use the hashtag Bell Let's Talk and talk about mental health and addictions and suicide and stuff like that. And it is what it is. I mean, like, it's not bad that they're putting emphasis on mental health, but I think they do it for all the wrong reasons. Like, it's kind of
it's really hard to look at any giant corporation
and be like, you're doing good.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very hard to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Allegedly, I read this on Twitter, so don't quote me on this, but I saw
Twitter facts. Oh, that.
But I saw a screenshot from like an internal memo at a Bell MTS office that said they were no longer covering therapy under their like health plan or something.
Ooh.
And this was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and the person who tweeted it was claiming to be a former Bell employee. It's like, hey, if you actually give a shit about mental health, and it's not just some dog whistle to get fucking people to buy your telephones, you would actually help your fucking people, right?
Ooh.
And that was obviously alleged. I don't know. This is just a screenshot of a alleged memo.
But
It could have been
tracks.
fake. I don't know.
That's a believable.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't had mentioned it if I didn't think it was believable. I'm trying to cover my ass. I've been sued too many times this year.
Yeah, I hate that. Wait, it's February 2nd.
Let's
3rd?
February the 3rd today, I think.
Yeah, yesterday was February the Groundhog Day.
Oh yeah, it was February the Groundhog Day.
And de Blasio
dropped a fucking groundhog and killed him.
Oh my god.
I'm so sad.
That's the
fire this man.
I was gonna say that's just one more to the body count. Usually mayors don't have a really high body count, but this guy, he really does. He really does.
Let's before we jump farther in, let's
shot color.
Do our segment we like to call Shot Caller. This is the segment on the show where you, the audience, picks the shot we're going to take. And because we've had so much time off, we've had no comments to go through, so it's just some gin off my shelf.
Yeah, so if you want to make us do a good shot or a bad shot,
let us know. Shorts. And we may as well say what we're drinking as well.
Yeah, so I am drinking.
You're not drinking what the bottle says.
Yeah, no, there is wine there is red wine in here. This is a Leaning Post Merlot 2016 bottle, and it's holding a homebrew, like from a winemaking kit wine.
How is it?
It tastes exactly like every other $11 red
from like
at the liquor store.
From like your neighbor, right?
Yeah, girlfriend's neighbor's retired guy, and he loves liquor. Every time we go over there in the summertime, like, he's like the ultimate host / bartender. He like your drink never gets dry at that house. It's fantastic.
Like me if I had money, or me if I had empathy.
Yeah, and the idea is like one of the reasons they like do homebrew is because they just like have so much wine. They're like, we should just make our own and save some money.
Yeah, well, yeah, like the average bottle you're probably spending $2 on if you're making it yourself. So
big difference. So he's got like 3 or 4 carboys going in the basement.
Nice.
But anyways, to continue on the point of Bell Let's Talk, I saw a post that was, I guess, hashtagged with this, and it was talking about symptoms of high functioning anxiety.
Sure.
And it was like a list of like 9 symptoms, and I hit 6 of them.
Okay. Do you remember any of these?
It was...
See, if we had been doing more preparation for the podcast like we want to, we would have... Okay, bring these up on the screen, these 9 points.
Give me like a few seconds. I might have it.
Let's go.
Odds are not fantastic. I may have seen it on my girlfriend's phone. Okay, so I can't find the specific post, but I'm going to go through here that are pretty similar. So it was, there's like fear of failure. I mean, that's kind of cliched.
Yeah.
Perfectionist, self-critical, racing thoughts, often exhausted, fatigued, disconnected in conversation, afraid of disappointing others, procrastinates when stressed, intolerance of uncertainty, That's a better one. Difficulty getting to sleep, feeling distracted, agitated, or angry at really inappropriate times, struggling to pay attention, and even like stomach pain, back pain. Yeah, so I think those are kind of like the along those lines. But basically, I resonated with a couple of those that were a little bit more subtle, and it was a list of symptoms of anxiety that I really hadn't seen before. Like out of the 9, maybe like 1 or 2 of them looked familiar. Most of them were, I guess, worded differently than I had seen before. And I'm like, I never really thought about the idea of like high functioning anxiety because, I'm an extroverted person.
Yeah.
I am constantly in motion. I'm always moving. I'm always doing things. I make decisions very quickly. I'm a salesperson at heart. I am pretty confident in my work. I'm confident in what I do. But like, how does anxiety fit into that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm immune to that. I feel like that doesn't apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when I read this, I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, this is it's like one of those things, and I'm like, I think I've got a serious case of anxiety that's just like brewing in the background, but it's like so far in the background that it's like at the same time controlling what you do every day, but also you have no idea it's happening.
Yeah. So if you don't know what's happening, is that even a problem, or is it even a thing?
Well,
like,
of course it's a problem. You can
Sure.
have bad programming and not
be
like,
aware.
Well,
Yeah,
think
that's
about
fair.
well, think about people that are all fucked up and have no idea that they're doing anything wrong. They're like, I'm just living my best life. The world happened to me, and I'm just doing the best I can.
It's everyone else's fault.
Exactly. Or you blame your circumstance, you blame whatever, or you don't even blame anything and you just ignore it. So, it's a hard thing to identify and acknowledge when it's a program running behind the scenes. And now that I've like understood that's kind of what's happening, when these, obviously the first stage is acknowledging that you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
Or acknowledging that something's off.
That's why I don't have any problems.
Exactly.
I just don't acknowledge any problems.
Yeah, you're fucking perfect. That's what I love about you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like that you like that I'm perfect.
Yeah, and Willows has never had a day of doubt, of
I've never lost.
he's never lost.
I've never even sneezed.
Never been in a situation where you're like, this might not work. Maybe I made the bad decision. Maybe I'm an idiot.
I don't make I don't make bad decisions.
Yeah, but the thing, you have a lot of reasons to be anxious, and you've, especially in years past, not so much recently, when I'm thinking like strictly business related, you guys have had obviously like,
of course,
25 months in a row of close shaves.
I'm being facetious,
Yeah.
obviously, when I'm saying I don't make any mistakes. Yeah, I mean, I think anxiety in business, especially, this is a business podcast, obviously, so that's what we're going to specialize on, is, anxiety in business, I think, is super normal. I think everyone has it at a certain point, right? Like, if you didn't, I think, show me a business owner that doesn't have anxiety about their business. I'll show you a business owner who doesn't fucking care about their business.
I'm gonna say, I'll show you a guy that's literally on his way out the fucking door.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you Bezos has a lot of anxiety.
Well, Bezos doesn't work for Amazon anymore, so.
No, Amazon works for him.
Oh yeah, he just resigned as CEO, eh?
Sort of. Technically, he's basically just.
Oh, he did the same thing Bill Gates did. He just took a step back from the day-to-day operations.
Well, he's not going as far as Bill Gates. He's basically relinquishing day-to-day responsibilities, maintaining complete control of like vision and policy. He's still the chair.
Yeah, executive chairman.
Executive chairman, yeah, and whatever, the biggest shareholder, and also the founder, so that obviously has clout in meetings.
But he probably still has anxiety about Amazon.
I'm sure he has anxiety about Amazon, antitrust coming along. His constant battle is to be like, let's fight like day one. That's
crazy
like,
communist with a fucking axe killing him in a Whole Foods parking lot.
Exactly. That's why he doesn't shop at his own stores. That's why he gets Amazon.
Wait, I saw a post today that was like Bezos resigning in 5 to 10 days or overnight if you have Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I think. Well, he's got Blue Horizon to work on, right? Is that what it's called?
What the
The
space thing?
Space company.
space thing? Horizon?
I think it's Blue Horizon.
I think that sounds right. But they have made a fuck ton of money recently on cloud computing,
Yeah,
and cloud storage, and
Amazon
hosting
Web.
and shit.
The guy that's the director of Amazon Web Services
Is moving over to
Yeah,
be the CEO.
Yeah. yeah, they're massive. Like they're like the hosting program for like Zoom,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
which is insane.
And Parlor.
Well, they were.
Um,
They delisted Parler.
I know. I'm kidding.
Which is fucking hilarious. I don't care who you are. The fact that they built a social media site on like free WordPress plugins and it got hacked within 3 days of making the news for the first time.
Yeah, because they've
Fucking
made
brilliant.
a fucking no.
It's been a trash website for years, and now they finally got hit.
the fucking app they were using to like encode people's credit card information was a fucking free trial. Like, how do you fuck up that bad?
I don't know.
Whatever.
That sounds like. I mean, I believe it.
But
I've met some people that would build that kind of thing.
getting back on our topic, now that you have this newfound information about your high functioning anxiety, does that help you? Can you do that with anything?
Yeah, I think because when I recognize like a symptom or it's happening,
A simp?
yeah, when I recognize one of the simps,
Hmm?
and in the moment, this is one of the things that I'm relatively good at is the like assessing my state of emotions like in the moment. I can get pretty blind to my habits and patterns, obviously, but in the moment, I'm pretty good at like running a personal inventory. Like, I don't know if you've ever done like a guided meditation.
No.
How about a yoga class?
No.
I don't know why I bothered any of those.
I haven't even done like a school class.
Yes, we know.
I dropped out in grade kindergarten.
It shows.
Huh?
So in guided
Are
meditation,
you insulting my intelligence?
so in a meditation class, guided meditation, what they'll do is get you to, get into a comfortable position in your chair, and then you start. Exactly.
Okay, wait. You do it. I'm gonna I'm gonna guide it meditate. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm getting comfortable.
So take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Now in through your mouth, out through your nose. And now relax your forehead. Now your cheekbones, your cheeks, your lips, your tongue. It's disgusting. I can't watch this. Anyways,
that was a good treat for you people watching on youtube.com/votewillows. If you watch the video version of this podcast, you could have just seen that.
yeah, no, I don't think you want to. But anyways, so
I feel more relaxed. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. So that's kind of like doing a personal inventory in the moment, physically, and also I like to do mentally, to catch these emotions, programs, whatever, as they're running.
It's like a spiritual phone wallet keys.
Yes, 100%. That is a really good way of putting it. That it's like a phone wallet keys, but for me, it's like drop my shoulders, breathe, take a really deep breath. Sometimes I find that I'm like breathing so shallow all day long, and this is a part of like my job, like with the weird posture that I have to have sometimes. But I literally got a like diaphragm, quote unquote, like injury because I was in such a cramped position all the time, and I was always breathing shallow. I think probably because of the anxiety, but also just because of sometimes I just do that when I'm trying to like cut a piece of tile and I'm like trying not to breathe. That's like when you're about to pull the trigger on a gun and you're just like not fully breathing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to like fucking sneeze and then fuck it up. So whatever the reason may be, basically I was not taking full breaths, and I was doing this often enough that it was actually like causing my back and my diaphragm to tighten up to the point where like literally anything I would eat or drink or even just like sitting there, it felt like the most insane like heartburn ever. Like it was just burning right in the back of my throat no matter what I did.
Yeah. That's
And
interesting. How long ago was it? When was this?
Like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Wow. That's
But
interesting.
my mom's a massage therapist, so I'm like,
Yeah.
Mom, I'm all fucked up. So I go to her house, whatever. She gives me a massage. Spend a couple hours in the hot tub, ice pack, whatever. And the problem's fixed, but took probably like 4 or 5 days after that to recover. But she's like, just like once every hour, just stop, breathe in as much as you can to the point where you like feel your stomach and your diaphragm stretching and like to where it almost hurts. Breathe in as hard as you can, and then whatever, let it out slowly, and inhale as hard as you can. Do that like 4 or 5 times, like once an hour. And I realized it's something so fucking stupid. It's literally breathing, and I'm not doing it correctly. It's like those memes. It's like at this point I don't think I'm breathing correctly.
Yeah.
Fucking newsflash, you're probably not. And I wasn't.
Wow.
But I don't know if you want to do it like right now, but just do that exercise. Inhale as hard as you can. You're not really doing a very good job of it. But anyways, you gotta like straighten your back, inflate your chest, puff it out, like. Thank you, Willows. Half the time I would do it, like it would literally make my back crack.
That's
And I'm like,
weird.
that's fucked up. I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm really not okay.
Well, I
like,
get the same thing.
That should have been a good sign.
I get the same thing where I'm like, when I'm at a desk for 8 hours.
Yeah, you got your shoulders up around your ears.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, drop your shoulders. You're like, oh my god.
Oh yeah. Every so often I'll
oh.
scroll past something on Twitter that's like, this is just a reminder to unclench your jaw. And I'm like, oh fuck.
Exactly. Friendly reminder to unclench your jaw and drop your shoulders from around your
Yeah,
lobes.
it's like that's something so simple. I bet if you asked somebody like, name 10 things that are self-care, they wouldn't even come close to that, right?
Right.
Like it's such a simple thing that people probably miss.
But it's so effective. Like,
which is interesting.
It's so effective. Like I learned this from when I did Bushido, whatever, back in high school, and I learned meditation practices and make it a pretty frequent habit at this point. But at the same time, I don't do it nearly enough, especially during a work day. Because
well, I was gonna say, like, you usually, if you're gonna meditate even daily, you're not gonna do it while you're on a fucking job site, like,
right.
Yeah.
So now I try to do like a mini 30-second session where I literally will just put my tools down, especially if I'm getting really frustrated. I'll just like stand there, close my eyes, and just like, and just like fucking breathe, because it builds up. It's so difficult to even understand that it's happening to you, and it gets to a fever pitch. It gets to a point where you snap at people, where you become short-tempered, where like there was a carpenter working on this job site that I'm at, and he was this guy from like Vancouver, I think he was, and he's like out here visiting his girlfriend. I don't know his story, but anyways, he was just an independent guy, seemed to have moderate level of skill, and he was building some pretty technical stuff, so like custom fabricating like a bar and some liquor shelving, a home theater platform, bulkheads, a bunch of like really, you got to do a lot of math, you got to do a lot of planning, and you just like, you can't fuck it up. So this guy would get so frustrated. If you were like in the next room, I was like on the next floor above, but open staircase, so I could just hear all day long. This guy would be like, you'd hear like a saw, and then all of a sudden, fuck, shit, mother, fuck. Like every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
This guy's just like going off. He's just like, bro, if you are getting this mad doing your work, I don't think you're cut out for this shit.
Or if you're fucking up that much that you have to get that mad.
No, he's just he gets frustrated, and it's like over little things, like somebody's like walking, quote unquote, walking through his workspace, and it's like, dude, you're in a job site, and there's 3 or 4 other trades here. You know, there's the home theater guys, there's the electricians, there's the plumbers, there's like the tile guy, there's the general carpenters, and then you're like this random finishing carpenter. Like, fucking deal with it.
Yeah, respect
Like,
everyone else.
If
Fuck.
you can't deal with other people in the same room as you, like, man, you're gonna have a hard time at life. And he just did not do well. And it got to the point where, you know, after 3 or 4 weeks of working in this whatever at this job site, he made the mistake of snapping at the customer.
Oh, that's not good.
Because the customer's like, dude, I gave you a list of 6 things to do. You had 2 days to do it, and you did 2 of them. Like, you're working ridiculously slow. This is unacceptable. And the guy just snapped at him. He's like, well, you could just go hire somebody else, and like just like went off.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, you definitely couldn't find your center there, and back the fuck off. Like, this was Sunday night, buddy. Like, this guy had guaranteed work for you for the next 2 months, and you just told him to go fuck himself and go hire somebody else.
Probably not ideal.
No, like, think about an example in your life when you may have done that to yourself, and you may look back at it later and be like, oh yeah, he was an asshole, like, whatever, I told him. That may be the story you tell yourself, but the reality is you fucked up.
Yeah.
You lost it. You weren't patient. You lost your temper. And maybe you just weren't performing your best. Maybe you really were fucking up. Maybe you were doing a shitty job, but you just were not paying attention to yourself anymore.
And you're saying like more self-awareness in the moment could help people avoid.
100%, because otherwise it will inevitably build up.
Yeah.
And like, this is probably the most common thing I see in any business owner, contractor, tradesperson that I come across. Like, it's atrophy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your skills atrophy. You giving a shit when you first start your trade.
Yeah, if you don't give a shit, it's like not using a muscle, you know.
Well, it's like
You have to give a shit sometimes, otherwise you're not gonna.
I don't know. It's just like I always look at I always approach these types of problems by, when I look at a guy that's doing a really bad job at doing what he does best, I'm like, where the fuck did you go wrong? Where did this stop working for you? When did you stop caring? Like, you were probably good at this at one point, because clearly you've got some skills. You know what you're doing. You're sharp, but you cannot follow through on your promises. You know how to make the promises. You know how to talk the talk. You know how to walk the walk, but only 80% of the way.
Yeah. Why do you think? Oh, I think a lot of people, that happens to a lot of people. People just stop caring about.
Why?
I don't know. It gets monotonous after a while. That happens to me. Like, I don't give a shit about something.
Everything's monotonous.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I mean, the most impressive, profitable businesses are just really highly optimized processes.
Yeah.
Like, look at Amazon, like Amazon Web Services. I'm sure, like, anybody that actually executes or fulfills that service has a boring ass job.
Probably.
Or Amazon warehouses, picking orders, sending them out the door with really, really strict guidelines and really fast schedules. Like, they're not having a great time. They're doing the same shit every day.
I was hearing kind of interesting about Amazon warehouses. What they're doing now is like, when you take something into the warehouse, you just like put it down at the closest spot that's empty, and then like the AI knows where everything is in the warehouse.
Oh, that's smart.
So it'll have these like bins, like you'll basically just like throw it in a bin, and the AI knows exactly what's in that bin.
Yeah.
And can tell you exactly where to go so it's the least amount of walking to get every item in an order.
Yeah.
Because like people, it's always like people commonly order these things together. It's like they'll know that it's in this bin with these two things, so they'll know yeah. They're
so
like
it starts like bunching things together.
yeah, they're automating a lot of this stuff now, which is
Yeah,
cool.
it's like you put like your computer speakers as close to the LED lights, as close to the office chairs, as close to the mouse pad.
Yeah, but now they're going like one step up, because that's like high level organization, obviously. Like that's pretty easy for companies to do, but now they're going like one where it's like dynamic,
Yeah.
where the AI can track it in real time and put shit in different places.
Oh, I love that idea. Like when I used to do shipping receiving work, like that was like a third of your day was walking around
Picking stuff
between
off
bins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like you're wasting so much time because like that's where that thing goes.
Yeah, so they're working on it, which is cool.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, that's what makes companies like Skip the Dishes and DoorDash, like they have AI and machine learning behind all of their systems. That's
The AI teaching the machine learning.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one time we did a tour of Skip the Dishes, which is a food delivery app based here in Winnipeg. And like they sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. Like it's a big company. And the guy who was in charge of their tech was showing us the tech room. He's like, yes, this is the server where our AI system is on. And the AI actually teaches the machine learning. He's like, we don't really know what it's doing anymore, but we kind of monitor it, but it's gotten too far.
It does its own thing.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, so we've noticed that this has been happening to like the the delivery dispatches and the driver arrival times, and he's like fuck if I know. We
just make sure it's a lie.
It's like,
like,
I
make
just
sure
hope,
it doesn't fall apart.
We just hope that it fixes itself. It probably will. It's fine.
Do you remember that news story a while back? That
they
was
don't even have a customer helpline anymore. They're like, this went wrong. They're like, yeah.
There's no employees there. It's
Yeah.
just robots now.
Yeah.
Do you remember that news story a while ago that was like the AIs that were talking to each other and they started speaking in codes the humans couldn't?
yeah. They created their own language, a shorthand, because like
it was faster than communicating.
Yeah, and then they like quickly shut that shit down. They're like, oh no.
Well, because it was just so it was faster, but the news story took it as, oh, the robots are identifying what humans can understand and changing it so we can't understand them anymore. Like,
I mean, that's
not what actually happened. That's not actually.
But that's effectively what happened.
Okay, but that's not what they were attempting to do. They were just like, why are we speaking in, binary or whatever it was when we could speak in more shorthand and it would be faster?
Yeah.
So they like invented their own shorthand. That's weird. AI is cool.
I think people are pretty stupid in general.
No shit.
And the future is not bright.
That's a great
in general / for most people.
That's a great bumper sticker.
The future is not bright.
The future, people are pretty stupid. The future is not bright.
Like, I like to believe in the best of people, but I don't know. The more you like read and study history and like look at people, it's like I got zero faith, man.
People are allowed to be stupid as long as they're nice.
Right, but it's never the nice people that get to make decisions.
I forget what it's from, but I like this quote. If you're not going to be strong, you better be smart.
And if you're not going to be smart, you better be nice.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I believe in like the greater or the general goodness. We've talked about this a lot, but like that people are generally good.
People are generally good, but people are not generally smart. That's fair. I think that's fair to say.
People are generally good, but they're also like generally interested either in themselves or their immediate or what is in their immediate area of consequence, which is like friends, family, business,
which is fine.
bank account, whatever.
I don't think that's a problem.
Which is fine. But unfortunately, when you have that existing in a system like we have, and taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, taking care of your community, just very well maybe destroying the ecosystem around you.
It's fine.
Consuming non-renewable resources.
It's fine.
And then you're like, oh, I've been having a great time, and now there's no more trees left. Now all the water's fucking dirty. Now it's like,
it's fine.
You don't have to be an evil person to really fuck shit up, is my point.
Yeah. But what's the solution? We've tried to make everyone smarter. It's not working.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You're not going to fix it.
Okay.
I don't have any faith.
So
I
you
got
have
no faith.
you have no point here. We're just doomed.
I got no faith. I think we're fucked.
We're just doomed.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, and see,
It's like pessimistic nihilism.
see, I have, I always say, I always describe myself as a cheerful nihilist.
Yeah,
Where
no,
we're doomed and nothing matters. Therefore, I can do whatever I want.
right. No, cheerful nihilism. In that respect, 100%, I agree.
Yeah, but most people I think are just nihilists, where they just are self-loathing because nothing matters.
So here's a
Like, you tell a fucking average person the world's dying and we're all too dumb to fix it. I don't think a lot of people take that well.
idiocracy. Great analogy.
True.
So here's a fun little side story. I think this happened in between, or within our break of podcasting. So I had a conversation with my dad because, whenever, like, he's, traditional Mennonite, Christian background. That's how I was raised. That's how he still lives and wholeheartedly believes. But every time we would have any kind of conversation around like politics or just what's going around in the world, he would bring up somehow like one world government would always come up in conversation. He's like, there's gonna be a one world government, and then it's like kind of going like down the rapture route that a lot of evangelical Christians go down. And that kind of was in the back of my mind because it was one of the last conversations we had. And I was listening to all these podcasts, like Behind the Bastards by Robert Evans, and like all these other different podcasts, and they're talking about how the one world government theory just like ties into like fucking Alex Jones. It ties into like the Jewish deep state cabal, and like I'm like, Dad, where are you hearing this from? Like, are you saying this because of church, or do you have something else on your mind?
Yeah.
You're like, is it just this, or is it something else? I just gotta know.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, it's just. He's like, just because like the rapture and like this is what's gonna happen. I'm like, okay, well that's good. I'm like, if you see anything on Facebook that sounds like that, don't read it.
Don't read it. Yeah.
I'm like, it's a wormhole. And I'm like, honestly, it's a slippery slope. If you try to find something relevant to your beliefs, you're gonna end up in a rabbit hole of something completely different, but kind of looks the same.
Yeah, and that's how people get radicalized, right?
Exactly. So I had that conversation with him, like internet security, just like, your parents have the birds and the bees with you. You got to have like the internet safety and security with
Mom,
your parents.
No, the fucking stupid share this or else Facebook can steal your pictures is not real. Please stop.
I've had to talk with my mom about QAnon like several times because like a third of the people that she's friends with on Facebook are either like all the way from extreme Q believers to like their profile picture is like something Q,
Yeah.
all the way to like they'll share, like, or comment on something Q related, to the affirmative. And yeah, you just have to have these conversations, and it's just ridiculous. But anyway, so I was going with this with my dad, the one world government, and I'm like, okay, so break it down for me. Let's say Let's say this happens. Let's say whatever Alex Jones is saying happens, and Biden is a part of the pedophile cabal, and they're gonna create this one world government through COVID restrictions and like fucking chips in your arm to see if you got a vaccine. Otherwise, you can't, get a job or fly on a plane. I'm like, let's say that happens. Let's say everything that the Bible prophesies starts to come true. I'm like, isn't that a good thing?
No.
The second coming of Christ?
Oh.
The rapture?
Okay, if you
and I'm
believe
like,
in the Bible, I guess.
Isn't that kind of like...
Don't we want that? Shouldn't we speed up the rapture?
Isn't that like the next good thing that happens? Or like, do you prefer this purgatory state? I'm like, why does anyone talk about this negatively? Like,
I guess there's too many different interpretations of that whole situation because the people that I've heard speak on it that are from a religious background say that like, well, Satan is helping the cabal,
Sure.
right? And we can't let Satan win, otherwise we're fucked.
No, that's not true.
Well, I
Because
don't-
that's not what the Bible says.
Well, the
It's
Bible's not true, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, in the paradigm of the Bible.
Yeah, but I've heard people
you know-
interpret that differently, though.
Right, exactly. But like that's the thing. If you're trying to fight against exactly what the Bible has prophesized, and you
Yeah.
think not taking
Well,
the
doesn't-
COVID vaccine is
well-
somehow going to alter the course of the future,
Well, doesn't
like-
God like have a plan for you? Like, isn't that the whole thing?
exactly. Like it's
He wants you to get the vaccine.
so exactly. Like long story, long story short, if you follow people down the rabbit hole,
Well,
it's usually it's a self-contradicting
yeah.
theory, right?
Well, we were talking the other day about one of our friends' little brother's girlfriends thinks the Earth is 4,000 years old.
6,000 years
6,000,
old.
whatever, and thinks that dinosaurs. This blew my mind. Didn't think that dinosaurs were created, or evidence of dinosaurs was created by Satan's magic to like test everyone's faith. She believes that secular government officials created dinosaurs. Because like, okay, I guess
Name
like,
one government official with that much creativity.
yeah, like I guess I can understand.
They're out
like,
there digging up rocks, sticking fossils in them.
like, what does that mean? Like, well, it goes back to the whole like, moon landing conspiracy and shit. It's like, okay, you got 60,000 NASA employees to all collaborate this story.
No, the
like,
moon landing was real. The video was fake. Everybody knows that.
no, the opposite. The moon landing was fake. No, the moon landing is real. No, the moon landing was fake. And the video of the moon landing was real. We did film it, but we didn't go. That's just as plausible as what some of these people say. Anyway,
Yes,
but
no, that's fair. That's fair.
The Earth is 6,000 years old, and I guess carbon dating is a scam.
Obama's the Antichrist
That's fine.
because he's a centrist.
Yeah, Obama's a conservative.
Yeah,
I don't
in
understand.
Canadian standards, he's
anyone.
he's like more conservative than fucking Stephen Harper.
Shout out Stephen Harper. Thanks for creating the TFSA.
But
Actually, I think that was Mulrooney. I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know anything about it. I'm fresh 18 years old. Just turned 18 last week. And
Again.
I don't know anything about politics or anything.
I think it's interesting following people down their trains of thought because everything they're afraid of is also at the same time everything that they want to happen. Like,
Oh, I'm afraid of big titty goth GFs.
exactly.
Ah!
Exactly. Like, it's. I think I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast. We may have talked about it in the mastermind call. I really get my wires crossed on this shit. But the slippery slope theory. Have we talked about that?
I don't know. Why don't you...
So the slippery slope theory, or like the quote unquote domino effect theory, that it really dominates politics, where the belief of, if, quick shot.
We're going to take another shot quick and then keep going. Oof.
So current events, Myanmar just fell to its one of its chief generals. Now,
You mean Burma?
yes,
I will not recognize Myanmar.
Burma
Just kidding,
got overthrown
by the
by
way.
its general.
Yeah, and do you see that girl doing like Taibo?
Yeah, it's so funny, doing a fucking fitness class in front of a coup.
Google or YouTube search Myanmar coup fitness instructor.
Yeah, it's
This
good
woman, yeah, it's fucking hilarious. This woman was like filming just like herself doing like aerobics, and in the background, the president is being dragged out of the fucking Capitol building by armed militants, and she doesn't notice.
Yeah, just everyday
That's great.
military EBCs always be cooing.
It's fine.
But anyways, one of the arguments of like we have to stop this is if Burma / Myanmar
I think just call Myanmar. I was kidding with the
Well, if they fall to a dictatorship, that's going to mean this other country is also going to go, and like that means this is going to happen. Like, this is why we invaded fucking like Vietnam. This is why the Cuban Missile Crisis was a huge
we
deal.
invaded Vietnam because if the communists won there, then they would have won in 20 other places, and then America would be communist within a decade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like the domino theory. The
slippery slope.
The slippery slope theory is the same thing, but in politics is like, oh, if you legalize abortion, then
I hear it a lot with like,
women are going to take your man's jobs, and then they're going to start executing the 3-year-olds when they get naughty because you have post-birth abortion.
I hear it a lot with like homophobic people that say, I don't necessarily have a problem with gay people, but if we legalize gay marriage, then they're going to want to legalize what's something in between, like trans people changing their gender, and then they're going to want to normalize public sex, and then they're going to want to normalize pedophilia, and then you always hear it like that.
They like that used to be the thing. They used to equate homosexual relationships with pedophilia. Like, if you like men, you must also fuck children.
So there's a couple
that was a direct line people drew.
Because there's a couple examples of far right people infiltrating, like going to a pride parade with a fucking I don't know if you've seen these what are they called, whatever, but there's a flag for like, it's pedophilia, but they're not calling it that. They're like, MAPs, minor attracted peoples. So they have like a flag for minor attracted peoples, and they're saying, it's just another sexual orientation, and they try to be under the LGBTQ blanket.
Yeah,
but
they get rejected hardcore.
But apparently, I saw a thread that somebody did some research and found out the person that designed that flag was actually like a far right person that was trying to do that to piss people off.
Right. It was it was a plant.
Yeah. And then there's like fucking NAMBLA, the Man Boy Love Society or whatever. There was like, they petitioned or something in the 90s to like be part of a pride
they tried,
parade and stuff. So there are people that are ignorant of, that have probably never met a homosexual person in their life.
100% Fox News is like, now they're a part of the pride parade. Look what happens when you let gay people have their way.
Exactly. Look what happens when you have gay people marry. Now they're raping kids, and that's fine. Exactly. That's fine with you.
The entire slippery slope theory and the domino effect theory, like, they're all fucking bullshit, because it assumes that there's causation, for one.
That people don't just do shit.
There's a causal relationship between these two, but I was listening to a podcast today, like the guy that was the foreign policy advisor to Obama, which was the administration that was in power when Myanmar transitioned to democracy from dictatorship, right?
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago or something. It
exactly.
was like, they've only had a democracy for like 8 years or something.
Yeah, and it was a shaky one at that. Like,
evidently.
the military still had equal power to
if you can have a successful military coup
with no bloodshed,
you probably didn't have a strong democracy.
No, it was not strong, but
they didn't kill anyone?
No. They'd arrested a bunch of people.
Good, I guess.
Yeah, they just threw them in jail. Yeah, no, it was like it was a non-bloody coup.
But isn't the democratically elected leader is in prison right now? Yeah, and they've overthrown him.
Yeah. But I don't think there was. I don't think it was a bloody coup. But
it's a woman? I don't even know. Yeah, I think so.
But anyways, so the idea is like, people are saying, well, did they lift sanctions on Myanmar too early, like because the military hadn't completely foregone their powers? And the argument is no, you can't say that, because if a country is moving in the direction of democracy, and you're in the position of creating foreign policy and giving out aid, whatever, lifting sanctions, you want to reward good behavior. This is 75 million people, 150 million people. I don't know how many people live there. I think it's like 75 million. 75 million people. There's, a century plus history here. There's complex politics, multi-generational rifts. There's spiritual beliefs, there's political beliefs, there's different parties, there's like fucking organized crime, there's military, there's tradition, there's all these things happening. It's like, how do you have the fucking arrogance and the audacity to say that these two Americans determine the future of these 75 million people? It's like, no, they don't have that much power. They're an influence. They are maybe a factor, but they are not the de facto reason. And that's like just America's God complex, where they think whatever their policy is or whatever their president sitting president like thinks about something,
That's what it should be.
that is what the world will be. Period.
Well, I guess, and we're seeing that a lot with, like, the government thinks they have a right domestically, our government too, to, like, tell us if we can be running our businesses right now. Like, they're deciding which businesses are essential and which aren't, and which items are essential and which aren't.
Right. That's a prime place for the slippery slope argument.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I will admit that I've subscribed to a similar ideal where, you know, you give them the...
Give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yeah, and that, well, yeah, and try getting the government to give power back after.
Yes, to
You know,
to some respect, like that is true. Like once they take emergency action or emergency powers, it's hard to pull that back. But like, look at 9/11, but also look at the clapback that happened to the NSA when fucking Snowden made his.
Yeah, but nothing happened to anyone.
Well, nothing happened, but at least the people are aware.
Yeah, well, that's almost worse that people where nothing happened.
That's fair.
Well, like another one I always like to quote is that income tax was a temporary war measure.
Yeah.
In World War I or something.
Yeah.
They were like, oh yeah, we're just going to charge income tax to pay for the war. And when the war's over, we'll give it back. And then now it's 50% of my fucking income.
Right. But now the government, like the breadth of government services is fantastically
Non-existent.
wider.
Oh.
Like you have, like there wasn't public health, there wasn't public school, there wasn't public roads,
Let's go back to that.
there wasn't really much of anything when that first happened, right? Like they, obviously there was
I think the World War One, yes, absolutely there were.
not to the level that there is now.
Well, yeah, because there was fucking 100 million people in America at the time.
Right, but I mean, there obviously there's been massive changes in government and what they do. Advances. I'm not gonna fucking defend the government's budget.
I was just gonna say,
Absolutely
are you really
not.
getting in this argument with
I'm
me?
not, I'm not gonna defend the government's budget, but the fact that there wasn't
$50,000 cups of coffee.
right, the fact that there wasn't income tax before and there is now, like, I
Because
will
you're
admit
giv-
there's a lot of waste, but I don't think it's 100% waste.
I think it's nearly 100% waste. I think if you just got rid of all government for like a year and didn't tell anyone, I don't think anything would change.
That would be the key. Just
Oh
don't,
yeah, no,
just
you
don't
have
tell
to.
anyone.
You have to not tell anyone, because if you told people, then they'd be blaming it, right?
They'd freak out.
But like,
yeah.
okay, I walk into a hospital right now. Like, Canada notoriously has universal, in quotations, healthcare, but it's objectively pretty shitty healthcare. There's a bunch of stuff that's not included. Mental health care is not included. Dental is not included. Optometry is not included. And the service on average is worse than the United States, and the wait times are much longer.
Yeah.
Great, but we're not going fucking bankrupt. I read they were like charging people $20,000 for like having a baby and shit in America.
Like,
it's fucked.
Well, the current issue is like somebody gets COVID and they try to not go to the hospital
Because they can't afford it.
and they like super try to not go to the hospital, but
Yeah.
then like they can't get out of bed one morning and their oxygen levels are so low they like have to go to the hospital. They get ambulanced in. They spend a couple days in, or maybe a couple weeks in, and they recover. They come back out, and now they're $65,000 in debt.
Yeah. So my point was being,
We don't have that problem.
no, we don't have that problem, but Canada's healthcare is pretty, like, I don't know if you've had to wait in an emergency room.
Oh, many
in the
times.
last- yeah,
many
in-
times.
in the last few-
Actually, I watched Trump win the election from an emergency room. Like the
Why?
entire election, I was sitting in an emergency room.
For what?
I don't remember.
Okay.
It was some kind of injury, like I needed
We knew
stitches.
each other at that point.
Was
Didn't
that?
we? Didn't
Yeah.
we know each other at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't. Okay, whatever.
2016.
I don't remember this at all.
We didn't know each other that well,
Okay.
but I just remember like I was sitting at what's the one by the U of M? Anyways, I was sitting in the waiting room, watching the vote tickers roll in. I knew nothing about politics at the time, and I'm like, look, Trump's winning. I thought it was funny at the time.
I still think it's funny.
Okay, it
my
still
point
is funny.
Okay, my point. The second time I'm trying to get there, is that you walk into a Canadian hospital with a problem right now. You're waiting in a fucking waiting room for 27 days. If we just got rid of government, nothing would change. I would walk into a hospital. I would have the same amount of wait time if there were no doctors in the building versus if there were doctors in the building.
Well, usually it's like there's 2 doctors in the building, and you have 9.5-hour wait times.
Well, and the problem is, a lot of like the NDP and the left leaning parties in Canada say, well, they need more funding, but if you look at the breakdown, like admin gets paid, has now eclipsed what doctors get, like what they spend on actual medical care.
It's like 2 to 1.
Like it's now like random
Like
bullshit.
doctors, nurses, and people that are actually in the hospitals
Get paid nothing.
are like,
Like-
20, 30, or let's say like 20% of the salary budget, 80% of the salary budget, it is administrators
Yeah.
allowing those nurses and doctors to work.
Yeah, and I've said it 100 times. You can't just throw more money at a broken system and expect it to work.
Well, I think it kind of goes more towards like the economies. This is one of the big questions with Amazon. It's like the economies of scale reverse at some point, and at a certain point you become less profitable at a massive size.
That's an argument for privatization, though, because then you have many people being able to operate in that sweet spot of efficiency.
Yeah, but that's not how it works usually. It usually just becomes a monopoly. Like look at privatized hospitals in the States. Some of them are great, but it also creates a lot of problems. Like, for example, when you have a public health crisis, there were a lot of people in New York that died because they built that massive like overflow hospital in Central Park, and they serviced. It was built for a capacity of like a couple hundred or a couple thousand people, and they served like less than 10% of what they were built for. And people are like, why do we spend all this money on this emergency hospital? Reason was because the doctors working in the tent or in this whatever temporary hospital conflicted with the contracts of the ambulance drivers, so the ambulance couldn't legally pick up patients from certain hospitals and deliver them to be worked on by certain doctors. So it had to literally go like it was a conflict of contracts where they needed to transport a patient. They're like, okay, we don't have any more beds, we don't have any more ventilators, we don't have any more doctors. This hospital over here has ventilators, has capacity. We need to transport this patient, but their ambulance contract did not allow them to bring a patient to that hospital because of a conflict. So there was, I don't know how, like it was definitely dozens, maybe hundreds of people died because there was private contracts in place that didn't allow doctors to work in different places, ambulances to drive to different places, or for any of those hospitals to transport their patients to the overflow
What
hospital.
you're saying is the union of ambulance drivers is...
No. They're not fucking unions. It's all like private for-profit contracts. It's for-profit ambulance company. It's 6 different for-profit hospitals
I don't
clashing
know.
with a government institution.
I don't know enough about it to argue with you.
There's a lot of problems that happen. And like, look at fucking for private prisons. That's one of the things that Biden's looking at. And that is fucked up. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, no,
that is fucked up. Judges getting paid to put young black men in
no,
jail.
I agree with that.
Like,
well,
I saw that firsthand in Cleveland.
Because as a person who believes in the free market, I also believe that, like, because for-profit prisons are a direct violation of people's non-aggression principle. Like, if you're incentivized to punish people,
right?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I guess I believe
Not everything.
for-profit prisons should be able to exist, but I also disagree with the entire system of law and order. Like, I don't think you should never be put in jail for a victimless crime. I think that's fucking
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, no, like this one kid I rented out an apartment to him, but he had a fucking record. You know, he was 22, hadn't had a job in 5 years because he just got out of prison. He was moving from a halfway house, and I gave him his first apartment. And I'm like, why the fuck did you end up in jail? I ended up driving this guy around to showings because he didn't have a car, and I'm like, yeah, can you whatever check out this house at this time? Then we go to this one. He's like, no, I can't because like whatever the bus schedule won't line up. I'm like, bro, I got a truck on company gas. Like, I'll just drive you around. So we ended up talking a lot. And I found out that the reason that he went, and I could pull the records, I could like actually look at the hearings and whatever.
Because America, you can just do that.
Like as a landlord, you can access all of the shit. It's actually kind of scary, but it was, I forget what the actual charge was. It was like aggravated theft or something, like, I don't know. It was like some kind of like theft charge / assault. Basically what happened is his neighbor was being an asshole and just like kept on making a shitload of noise, blasting his stereo till 4 a.m. So this guy like just got really mad. It's like, dude, fucking stop it. And in fucking East Cleveland, you don't call the cops for a noise complaint, because you call the cops for a noise complaint, you get 7 warning shots in the back. So, you deal with it your own fucking self. So eventually he's like, you know what, man, if you don't stop blasting your stereo, I'm gonna fucking take it from you. The guy's like, oh yeah, bad. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna take your fucking stereo. Don't blast it all night. Sure enough, the guy does. So one night he goes up, knocks on the door, where the guy wakes up. He's like, oh yeah, well, he thinks it's one of his buddies. And downstairs neighbor walks into his house, unplugs his stereo, fucking rips it off the bookshelf, takes it back to his apartment, locks the doors, like, now I can go to bed. Next day he gets arrested, gets charged, gets 4 years in prison. It's like, what the actual fuck?
First offense?
Yeah.
When he was like 18 years old?
Yeah.
For stealing a stereo?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, he was like 18. He was in jail till he's like 22, 23.
You ever,
Like, that's so fucked up. Like, think
Yeah,
about if you missed out on 18 to 22, how fucked up will you be?
when you watch...
This guy was figuring out how to use Facebook.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
You watch American History X?
No.
Edward Norton. Good movie. Watched it recently. More relevant than ever. Because it's about Edward Norton's a white supremacist or whatever in like a neo-Nazi cult. And he ends up going to jail for killing 2 black kids. But they broke into his house, so it was like technically self-defense because he was in California in the 80s or whatever.
Yeah.
So he only got like 5 years instead of whatever. So,
I was
but
gonna
anyway,
say 5 months.
but he's no, it was a couple of years, whatever. But he's like talking to this black kid in the prison, and this is like I won't spoil it if you want. You should watch it straight up. But the kid's basically gives him a because he's never really met black people before, right? So he's like this neo-Nazi making friends pretty much with this black guy in prison because you're in fucking prison.
Yeah.
And he's telling a story about how he's like, yeah, so we're stealing these TVs, and they're big TVs, obviously, because it's the fucking like 90s or whatever. She's like, we're stealing TVs, and he's like, I think it was like, oh, I stole a TV next to a fucking donut shop, and cop comes out. It's like, fuck. And then the cop points a gun at me, says, drop the TV, put your hands up. And what he like, I think he like puts his hands up or whatever, and the TV falls, and it drops, and it like hits the cop in the foot and like broke his foot or whatever because it just like fell. And then the cop said he threw it at him and gave him like 10 years in prison.
Yeah, that tracks.
And then Edward Norton's character is like, come on, like, it's just me. You threw it at him, hey? And he's like, it fucking dropped. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Like, he had a gun in my face.
He was
about to put a warning shot to
yeah,
my
and
eyes.
he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it fucking dropped. And then that was like the first thing ever in this character's life that was like, wait, the white cop lied and was like, wait
a second. White cops don't do the right thing every time.
And that was like the first thing that like set him.
Oh my God.
Anyway, good movie,
yeah.
But it's even more relevant in 2021 when you watch
shit.
it. But on the note of white supremacists. That QAnon shaman
Yeah.
that got arrested
Yeah.
at the Capitol.
Yeah.
He got transferred prisons.
Yeah.
The new warden in like this Texas prison is refusing to give him the organic meals that he was requesting. He
Nice.
hasn't eaten in a week.
Nice. This Texan guy is like, you're gonna eat this.
No, he's
deer
like,
I
I don't.
shot
Yeah, he's like,
yesterday."
I don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
literally, he's like, you're. Well,
I like Texas because you like it's
I don't know if it-
50 chance that guy was gonna get a nice apartment or he was gonna get left in the yard with a rat to eat.
because I saw. Because this, yeah. If for context, the guy with the big bear hat that invaded the Capitol building.
Yeah, with like face paint.
Yeah,
The America face
he's like
paint.
on this all organic diet. And when he went into prison and when he got arrested in DC or whatever, he requested like an all organic meals and they gave it to him. The same prison that was feeding Muslim people pork and saying you either eat the pork or you starve. You can pick one.
God, that's amazing.
We're like, oh yeah, of course, mister, we'll give you some organic meals.
Yeah, 100%.
But he got
everybody knows that like police and just in general, like the prison system is basically the same fucking people.
yeah. Oh, of course.
They're
racist.
they're
Wow.
super empathetic to fascists.
Because they are fascists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's like
But-
every fascist insurrection in history, the police that were like sent to stop the
Well,
raids,
apparently
50% of them will like drop their fucking badges and just like join the fascist
Well,
party.
apparently a bunch of facial recognition from the Capitol storming. There was a bunch of undercover cops,
Oh,
or
there's
not undercover, off duty.
Yeah, and there's like 170 some officers
Yeah.
that were in the
Yeah.
riot.
Yeah. So,
A lot.
do you
Like,
see that our country just declared the Proud Boys a terrorist organization?
that's pretty cool.
What do you think about that?
I think that's might be effective on like calling Antifa terrorist organization because first of all it's not an organization, and second of all designating it a terrorist organization like cuts off its funding, which is only relevant if they're being funded. So it basically just makes it impossible for you to financially support or
Join out in the
or
open.
join in the open, profitably run, have a chapter, advertise, whatever.
Yeah.
Like being quote unquote a terrorist has almost nothing to do with it. It's just like a legal designation.
Okay. Because I think it's a little bit fucking overkill if I'm being honest.
It might be overkill, but it also might not be.
They're on the same list as ISIS and Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
Like that seems fucking overkill to me. I don't know.
It is and it isn't, because I think you might just call it underkill for ISIS and Al Qaeda, and overkill for the Proud Boys.
Fair point.
Or and ineffective for both.
And in effect, yeah, in effect,
That's what I would call it.
I think that's only going to militarize the Proud Boys more.
Absolutely.
Because they're like, well, we're fucking terrorists. Because now
You push them underground, they radicalize further, and then they clap back.
Yeah, well, because now being a Proud Boys member,
It's cool.
gets you in jail either way.
Now it's cool.
So you may as well have an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go to fucking jail for 20 years either way for aiding a terrorist organization.
And now it's extra cool.
Yeah, so... okay, it's cool. Is that why you got that haircut?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The Hitler Youth haircut is actually a good haircut, if we're being honest.
Hey, it's a Peaky Boy haircut.
Sure. But, yeah. Oh, and he finished the wine in one sip.
There was only one sip left.
Okay. Yeah, hot take. The crew cuts are just Nazi youth haircuts. And it's a good haircut.
To be fair, it's pre-Nazi youth. No, never mind. That's like concurrently at the same time.
So
Nazi youth.
yeah,
Anyways.
I'm conflicted on this Proud Boys thing because you can be a dick without being like terrorism is defined as the use of violence against people, especially civilians, to further your political gains.
And any time that the Proud Boys show up and do a quote-unquote demonstration and there isn't counter-protesters, they absolutely fuck up random people.
Do they?
They're so violent. They're so
okay,
fucking
like-
awful. Like they're like the Unite the Right rallies. They're like,
Yeah.
if there isn't a counter-protest movement, they fuck shit up every single time.
Are the Proud Boys very organized?
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
yeah, they're pretty well as
They have, like,
organized
rules and shit?
as a right fascist organization can be. Like,
Well, because like a lot of like you see like an Antifa person.
they're more organized than Antifa.
Well, because you watch like someone with a Black Lives Matter shirt, like stab somebody, which has happened.
Yeah.
And then people go, well, okay, that's just a guy in a fucking Black Lives Matter shirt. It doesn't represent the movement as a whole.
Right. Because
is that the same thing with Proud Boys?
The thing is with like Antifa and BLM, like a lot of people, they just wear black bloc, which is just blacked out clothes. Sometimes like a hashtag BLM shirt, but usually they stray away from any logos, any insignias. They just go straight black bloc.
Well, you're supposed to get,
right,
like
but it's a tactic. It's not a uniform.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So this is always the problem. The left is always splintered, and there's nuance, and there's thought, and there's belief. The right is usually pretty united around unified ideas, and they're more organized because they're more militant, they're more authoritarian, and this is why dictatorships are more common than democracy, and authoritarianism seems to be a lot stronger than liberalism or democracy. Because just by its nature, the left always fights itself.
Yeah, the left
and the right
itself.
unites to defeat the left.
Yeah.
That's the nature of it. So the Proud Boys is a hell of a lot more dangerous than BLM because they're a lot more organized and they're a lot more militant.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are veterans. They're police. They're veterans. They're government people. They get armed. They get prepared. They train. They practice on weapons. They get their, they're prepping bunkers filled. Like,
but that's not even what it's about.
They're far more dangerous.
Like I perused their site one time just because I was curious because I hadn't heard of them. They're just trying to be like, I think they describe themselves as like Western chauvinists. I think is their like description. Like they want to bring back like, or they said like we functioned very well when we had defined gender roles. We want to be chivalrous, respectful men. To I don't think they use the word subservient, but basically just subservient, stay-at-home women, and we have Christian values and whatever. And I think that's the idea.
It's all dog whistle for
Fair.
I'm a white American
white people are better
male,
get
and
the fuck
fuck
out of my
you
country.
if you're not.
Fair point.
Like it's basically the same. It's the exact same rhetoric as the Nazi Party, except you just replace the Jew with the left.
Sure.
Like it's striking. It's the same fucking rhetoric, but it's just white nationalism and the invention of whiteness, which I think is fucking fascinating.
Yeah, I don't get.
Like,
so let's try to bring this back around to a business, related to business to end off because we rant about politics way too much. I think we can both agree that the right and the left are both in Canada and America and actually all across the world are getting more and more pushed either direction. Like they're getting more radicalized. Like the left is getting more left, the right is getting more right.
Yeah. And the left infights more and the right is uniting more.
So whether this leads to civil war or whatever it leads to, some major shift, I assume, how does that affect the average person running a business? Just obviously a civil war would fuck us, but short of a civil war, like just more instability.
Short of like violent insurrection, military rule.
Let's say people aren't just killing each other on the street. Let's say
it's just rocky democracy.
Yeah, but things get more divided.
Yeah.
Does that affect? Well, for instance, there's this bar restaurant in our city. Shout out Tallest Poppy. And they actually have a bunch of stuff in the window. I don't know if they still have it, but they have a bunch of stuff in the window explaining like the police's budget and how many people they've killed and all this. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if it actually said it, but I think it was heavily implied like we do not serve service members here. Like if you're military or cops, do not come here, I think was kind of the impression. But so that's, and there's I could see that getting worse where it was like that people like leftists start businesses, not that a lot of leftists I guess are starting businesses, but okay, left-leaning people start a business and they say, no, fuck you. If you support any sort of cops or anything, you don't come to my restaurant. And then the same way, it's like, well, if you fucking support BLM and you think anything else but all lives matter, don't come to my fucking
Like that
grocery store.
insane email that our buddy read yesterday.
God, Jesus
Just
Christ.
absolutely insane. CFL's like sponsoring company.
You probably shouldn't.
Like that's as specific as I'll get.
Yeah, it was a sports team internal email from a person canceling their season tickets. Our friend of ours works for this
because the
team.
team supported BLM, which is a racist genocidal
And he was using
movement.
all these words that were contradictory. He's like, these anarchist Marxists. I'm like,
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Yeah, he was like, he literally just listened to Tucker Carlson and was like annotating and like transcribing what Tucker Carlson was saying into an email.
But anyway, do you think like as people get more divided, do you think shit like that? Because at the end of the day, most capitalists don't give a shit what you believe. They just want your money.
I think there will be a lot of really cringy marketing that goes in one direction or the other, or just like really disgustingly neutral. I think on small business, I've actually lost a contract because of just because of social media, because I like definitely repost stuff according to what I believe, which is fuck authoritarianism and fascism. That super offended somebody that was a client of mine, and they were super pro-Trump and super pro-fascism apparently, and that has now led them to be like, I'm not continuing my contract with you. So that actually cost me a couple grand.
And how do you feel about
that? Very lukewarm. I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care much either way. Like, if that's going to alter your decision about like who you hire to fix your house, okay. There is
great.
No shortage of right-wing tradesmen out there.
I feel
like, go right the fuck ahead. I don't really care. Like, it kind of sucks. I'm disappointed because I would like to think that political beliefs and the rest of your life can kind of remain separate, where you can like hold a different opinion from someone and still respect them and as a person.
Yeah, but at the same time, if your political belief is that white cops should be shooting Native kids and that's okay,
yeah,
I don't know if I can agree to disagree.
No, I don't say agree to disagree, but I'm like, we can conduct business, but we definitely don't agree.
For sure.
Like,
yeah,
you need something that I have. I will not refuse to sell it to you because you disagree with me.
Well, I posted something a while when
like, you're not going to restrict selling your wine to someone just because they voted for Trump or voted for Biden.
Not necessarily.
If they overtly are harmful, maybe.
Yeah, it's hard to know. It's maybe if someone... Yeah, I don't know.
Politicizing the sale of your product is usually not a good move.
I agree with that. Like, for instance, one time I was doing an event, and there happened to be the leader of the Green Party, Elizabeth May, or former leader, I guess now. I was actually at the event that I was at, out of coincidence. They were doing a rally at this event that I was unaware of. I didn't know going into this would be happening. So CBC and a couple other news stations brought their cameras and they're filming this event, and I'm in the background with my poster and my fucking brand is all in the background of this fucking event.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be, I'm just there.
Yeah.
Right? I have my stand set up and I'm in the background. So I go over to this fucking CBC reporter and I'm like, hey man, like, I don't want my brand to look, I don't want someone to take this out of context and see my brand next to the Green Party brand and assume that we're together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you could just like pan your camera, this guy was biggest dick. He's like, this is a fucking public event. I have the right to film here. I'm like, yeah, man, I know you do. I'm just asking you as a favor. He's like, no, I have the right to film here. I'm like, okay, buddy. So I wrote vote Tim Moen, who's the Libertarian candidate.
Yeah.
shout out Tim Moen. I wrote vote Tim Moen on a big poster and hung it behind my behind my booth, and then he panned over.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Like,
yeah. But
that's an easy solution.
But like I I didn't want my brand to be associated with a political party, even if it was one that I agreed with.
Yeah.
I didn't want.
It's like, don't politicize my product.
I'm just
I sell fucking wine.
I sell wine for communists.
It's not wine conditional upon my political beliefs.
Yeah, I sell wine for communists. I sell wine for fascists. You need to drink, both of you, both sides, man.
100%, because the beer hall putsch couldn't happen without beer.
Agreed.
That's very important.
Now, would I host an event for cops or Nazis or communists, knowing what they were? Maybe I would decline to have an event for them because personally, I don't believe in that.
Right, but you're not going to stand at the liquor store and prevent them from buying your booze.
Yeah, I think
there's a line between, I
guess there's a line between implicit support and like going out of my way to stop people. Like, fuck it, man. It's a free market. You're allowed to believe whatever you want as long as it doesn't hurt me. And you know,
yeah, it's a fine line. It's like, if you refuse them your service, would it actually make a difference, or do you just become the other?
Well, and I guess this goes to kind of ties into like cancel culture.
Yeah,
which I don't give a shit about. But you always hear people on the right being like, cancel culture is fucking cancer.
It's a scourge of society.
Scourge of society, whatever. But these are the same people preaching about the free market, but they think the free market can't decide who to cancel.
Cancel culture is the fucking free market, bitch.
Fake fucking capitalists. I hate it.
Cancel culture is the free market. Oh
cronyist, fucking corporatist, fucking.
Can we start that hashtag? Cancel culture is the hashtag
free market. Is the free market.
Like, fuck you.
Nah, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I guess this kind of ties into cancel culture. What they would like for instance, in my industry, there was a brewery not around here, in the States, that made a Black Lives Matter beer.
Yeah.
And they were giving like 10 cents on every can to I think when everyone was doing the protests, the bailout fund or whatever.
Okay, yeah,
you could like contribute to bail out people. That
I'm
arrested.
behind that 100%. You shouldn't go to jail for protesting.
So I shared it in this craft beer group that I'm in, and a bunch of people were like, "They're never gonna my fucking business again."
Right.
Like, oh, you shouldn't have fucking politicized your beer. And although I understand, like, I don't personally like to politicize my product and my business. That's my fucking right, though. If I want to politicize my fucking beer, I can't.
100%.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Which you might one day.
Maybe I will. I don't know. I guess, like, my question being, as things get worse, as they often do you see that being a problem for us as business people? We're both in pretty recession-proof businesses. I sell alcohol, you build houses. But for the average person, the average business owner out there that does, name a thing, jewelry, flag manufacturing, light bulb repair, I don't know, name a thing. Do you think there's a problem as the world gets more unstable?
I think every business has a percentage of the population that want to buy their shit. And it's never more than 50%. Woo! Like, you have your demographic. And your demographic is a percentage of a certain group of people. Like, you have your demographic of people that actually consistently, dependently buy your product is probably less than a percent of a population. It's probably less than 0.5% of a population. I keep kicking the table. If you become a partisan business, if anything, you become more polarizing. Maybe you'll get more attention. You alienate,
for a bit, though,
quote unquote, half the people. Maybe for a bit, people forget about it in 4 days. But
well, yeah, because if I went out right now, obviously, okay, COVID is a bad example.
Yeah.
But I went to my wine bar and I put up a sign that said, "We do not serve cops."
Yeah.
I would probably get in the news for that, I bet.
Right.
Local news. I
so
bet
you might get in the news. You might get some attention, some good, some bad. I would say that would probably end up being a net positive for you.
Yeah. Except a lot of these wine moms that come to my bar are very conservative.
Right. So then you just contradicted your customer base.
Yes.
So don't do that. So let's
Yeah.
say you came out super in favor of cops, and now your consumer base comes out stronger.
This is a cop bar now.
Right. So, like, pay attention to your customers and your demographic that
Well,
you
for instance,
generally appeal to.
there is a burger spot right by my bar that donates like $1 on every meal to the military.
Right.
And even though I've heard good things, I have never gone there because they do that.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
So
it's polarization, though, because they may get additional...
they probably do.
Yeah. And I think the final decision on that is, like, if you want to politicize your product, you better fucking mean it.
Okay, yeah.
You better fucking mean it. You better fucking believe it.
That's actually
and you better stick to it.
That's a good point. Yeah,
that's
because
more important.
if you're just trying to ride a wave because you think that's what your customers want.
Right. A disingenuine grift will never win. A genuine partisan or political stance.
Yeah, because I would be like, I don't give a shit if it's losing me customers. I don't want fucking cops in my bar. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So a genuine political stance will probably gain you favor in the long run because people like authenticity. People like brand the stance for something. People don't like disingenuous, like the Bell Let's Talk thing. It's an implicit contradiction.
Oh, look at that turnaround, that connection to the beginning of the conversation. But the problem with small business is that a lot of small businesses can't think about what's going to work in the long run because they don't make money today.
So they have to grift. I don't think you got to grift.
I don't think that's...
I don't think you have to grift.
I think fake it till you make it is different than grifting.
No. When I say grifting, I mean you make a political stance not because you believe it, but because you think it could get you some...
No, but I mean
some clicks and likes.
But I mean I think businesses should just do nothing instead of making a political stand that they believe in.
But what if you need to what if you need to do something to survive? You need to do something to get more people in the door. Do something genuine. Don't do something that's disingenuous.
That's a good piece of advice that you can take away from this is if you're
gonna do it, fucking mean it.
Yeah. Don't do it as a fucking move just because you're doing it as a move. You got to mean what you say. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No question.
Back your bullshit.
Yeah.
And don't...
Because people can tell. You might not think they can, but people can tell.
Yeah. And if you make that stance, don't back down either.
And that's the worst is when people half commit to shit and when they get a little bit of scrutiny, they're like, okay, I'm sorry, and apologize to it. It's like, no, if you fucking meant it, like, do it, right?
Yeah, like that Republican senator right now that's like...
thinks a Jewish space laser
Jewish cabal space laser. And
God.
she just doubled down, is like, fuck you, Trump supports me. And Trump's like, yeah, I kind of support her.
I thought...
and now Mitch McConnell's like, maybe we can't dox her.
I thought it was a meme.
No, she's straight up is like the third most influential voice in the
And
GOP.
I looked up a clip, and she said the words Jewish space laser. And I was fucking flabbergasted.
Yeah, no, she has open support from Trump. General support.
Some random senior that doesn't have social media.
Yeah,
great.
General support from the Republican Party. Nobody wants to kick her off of her fucking committees. Like, she is the new face of the Republican Party, and I am here for it. I am really happy about
President, what's her name? She becomes the president?
I don't even care.
She'll run against AOC in fucking 2028.
Yes, AOC versus whatever this fucking bitch's name is. I don't care.
I am
remember
not.
Her name.
I am not an AOC fan in general.
Neither am I, but I think it'd be funny.
But that being said, I think that she is approaching politics in a very refreshing way.
Yeah.
Where that's
what people like her.
Every night she like live streams while she's cooking.
Yeah.
And just answers questions from her constituents.
Yeah.
Because there's fucking...
That's good politics.
There's senator... What is she, a senator? What's an MP for America?
An MP would be a governor.
No. A premier would be a governor.
Right. Premier would be a governor.
A member of parliament. Like, what is she?
MP would be...
What is she, a senator? What's the difference between a state senator and a senator?
Congressperson.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Congressperson. She's a congressperson.
Yeah.
And there's Congress people that come out, every 3.5 years,
Yeah.
right before an election to talk to their constituents.
Yeah.
But like she's on and she was playing fucking Among Us
Yeah.
on Twitch with fucking Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the Canadian NDP party,
Yeah,
which is one of the most streamed live streams ever,
Yeah.
talking about like what they believe. And I think that is perfect. There's no, to my knowledge, right-wing politicians that are like engaging with their people.
No, they are
that closely.
No, they are
Not
and,
like
and,
that,
And
though.
her name is whatever the fuck, and she's talking about
Not
Jewish
the,
space
not, not the
lasers.
same. Not the same way though.
It's not the same
when you
way,
get on,
but I think it's
when,
just as
when
effective.
she gets on, when AOC gets on Instagram Live and she reads comments and responds to them live, it's so genuine.
Yeah,
She's an idiot in my opinion,
but it doesn't
but
matter.
her opinion is genuine, which I respect.
Yeah,
I don't respect that she gets on TV and says Trump's a warmonger that's trying to kill us, and then votes on funding the Pentagon.
right.
She voted yes on Trump's war bills. She voted
Yeah.
It's like back up your fucking walk the walk, right? Just like we're talking. Commit, right? I think she says a lot of outrageous leftist things to get clicks because she's a fucking millennial, and she realizes exactly what she does. That every time Trump mentions her, she's getting clout.
Yeah.
I think she knows exactly what she's doing, but just don't fuck. She's voting for war bills. At least Bernie Sanders.
Okay, to be fair, I'm gonna contradict you right now because those quote unquote war bills are like the annual budgets and budget reconciliations which come with like
Fuck the
which
budget.
is what the COVID relief came in. These budget bills include by mandate all like foreign aid. They include every budget. They include like the DOJ budget. They include the CIA budget.
So
they include the military budget. They include the Pentagon budget. They include border security budget. All of those have to be in there because
Or else
they
what?
exist and they need money. So are they growing them or are they shrinking them? The fact that she voted for yes doesn't mean anything because it was like folded into 79 other things.
What's the thing where you just talk and don't let anyone else talk? Filibustering.
Yes.
I would just filibuster
The budget?
yeah.
Well, then nobody gets paid and everyone hates you.
I don't give a shit.
Like filibustering a budget
Yeah, fuck them. They shouldn't get
fucks
paid.
everybody.
They shouldn't get paid. Fuck them.
So you're the one. He's gonna be like
Can they remove
the one
you?
libertarian in government.
Yeah,
the one
can they
independent.
remove you? Can they remove you before your
They
election?
two-thirds majority.
They can just remove you as a congressperson?
No, 2/3 majority. They can overrule your filibuster.
Fine. Okay, because that would be fun if I just pretended to be some conservative to get elected,
Yeah.
get in there, and then filibuster the fucking the budget every day for 4 years until I lost the next election.
No, they could
Fuck
just
'em.
stop your filibuster.
I thought they couldn't, and that was why it's fun.
No,
No, because People's Party supports them, right?
No, it's
Ted Cruz is reading
it's
the
a 2/3 majority,
like,
which is never going to happen
Ted
again.
Cruz is reading the fucking green eggs and ham and shit. Like,
Yeah, because he was reading a bedtime story to his kids. Because he's a good guy that pretends to be human sometimes, and also might probably maybe
he's the
have
Zodiac
possibly
killer.
have sex.
I think he's the Zodiac killer.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he
probably.
is.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
he's a fucking psychopath. He's a maniac, and I hate him.
Did you see Seth Rogen
He's so
going at
slimy.
him?
He's so gross.
You see Seth Rogen
No.
has been fucking. They've been
Oh right,
Ted Cruz
on
and
Twitter,
Seth, like Pineapple Express. Seth Rogen
Yeah.
has been tweeting
Yeah.
at Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has
Yeah.
been responding,
yeah.
which is a bad look in my opinion.
Oh, it's so bad. Do not try to respond to Seth Rogen
Nor
trolling
anyone, like comedians trolling you, they have nothing to lose except like getting canceled in quotes. Like
you will not get canceled trolling Ted Cruz.
You are an elected official.
Yeah.
Do not
engage with a
stoop to
comedian.
these fucking people's whatever. Anyway, and
Any
I like Seth,
comedian.
and I agree with Seth Rogen what he's saying, but he's calling him a fucking fascist. All this shit, like,
Yeah.
not mix it. Like it's whatever. But
Ted Cruz claps back, and then he just RTs it, and he's like, "Fuck you, fascist."
Yeah.
Like,
My point being, I think there should be. I think the stuff that AOC is doing is more direct representation, which
Yeah.
I think in the information age is imperative. I think that's exactly where we should be going.
It's representing your idea of true democracy, which is pay attention and get real-time information from people that support you. And that's not just your constituents, that's the general public outside of your constituency that pay attention to your policy. Like, it's not a super high bar, but people
Oh, and here we go, relate to business. You should be engaging with your customers. You shouldn't just be some fucking... I see so many fucking businesses that... I know a lot of business owners and you know, I know a lot of boomer business owners, and I'm like, hey, there was 13 comments on your Instagram post asking the same question, and you didn't respond to any of them. He's like, oh, I don't check my comments. I don't know. I'll just post, and I don't really know how to use Instagram. And it's like, oh, you gotta engage with your fucking customers. Like,
yeah, if I comment,
you can't just not respond to your customers. Like,
okay, so for number one, if I comment on something, it's major because I'm
not gonna go through the fucking trouble otherwise.
Out of the 100 things I see, I might comment on half of one thing.
Yeah, barely. Like,
right, I don't comment on shit.
Yeah, me neither. No, I don't. Well, I guess some people do, but I think the average person doesn't.
No, and if you do comment on something, it's and then you get ghosted.
Especially for a small business.
Right, not cool. Not cool. Like if you're
need to
not cool.
You need to identify where your customer, and if you're not going to respond to people like messaging you on Instagram, then don't post on Instagram.
Yeah.
Don't have an Instagram account.
Oh, so here's one thing that I figured out is I've been following other brands in our local area that do the kind of stuff that I am doing or want to do.
Yeah.
And I realized that just DMing the Instagram, almost 100% chance you're getting the founder of that company.
Yeah.
A direct line to them.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So I think I've done 3 or 4 different places this last week where I found this company that's, you know, doing this product line that I like, and I just straight up asked them, I'm like, can I like come to your job site and like just like watch you guys work? And like the person that I get on the other side of the message is 100% a decision maker.
Yeah.
Which I think is almost more important than whatever answer that I get. Like I got, out of asking that of 3 different companies, I got 2 job offers and a maybe.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. And
this is kind of related, but not really. But D-Rock, the guy that does videography for Gary Vaynerchuk, he always said like he got the job by showing up and being like, I'll just work for free until you decide to pay me.
Yeah.
And they were like, why would we decide to pay you? And he's like, well, because you're going to see my work and it's exceptional.
Yeah.
And it's just like, give yourself, like, and I've given that advice too. I'm like, just I hear in our age, like, you know, I'm 24. I hear from other 24-year-olds that are trying to get jobs that are like, no one's hiring right now.
Which may be true.
Everyone's hiring.
Yeah.
As you just got to prove yourself to be indispensable, right?
Yeah.
Just because they don't have a fucking wanted poster or job help wanted poster up in the fucking window.
Everybody needs something.
Everyone needs something. Show up, be like, hey, I have this whatever that I'm good at that I know you're not at. I'm going to do it for free. And if you like it, whatever. Like,
but the thing is, you got to know how and when and where to show up.
Agreed.
Like it's not without its own challenges, and like I've had several people say this to me. They're like, "How the fuck do you do what you do, get what you get?" But it's because I've figured out how to get myself into shit.
Yeah,
and
how
it's
like,
what
elaborate on that.
It's what I'm trying to do right now with my business. I'm like, I want to learn a new product line. Either the manufacturer is going to teach me or my competitor is going to teach me.
Either way, someone's going to fucking teach me.
Either way, someone's going to fucking teach me. And if you don't, I'm just going to get real mad, figure it out myself, and say, fuck you, and run you right out of town.
I guess like how does the average person...
You just look at exactly what you're paying attention to, and don't be afraid to ask the question that you're going to ask. Most people are like, oh, like, I wish I could figure out how they do this.
Go ask
Did
him.
you ask them?
Yeah.
Did you fucking ask them? Did you
Yeah.
call anyone?
Yeah.
Did you walk up to anybody? Did you DM anybody? Did you like go to LinkedIn, see who works there, see who's manager, see who's in this position, see who oversees this? Did you talk to them? Like, that's where another callback rings back to anxiety, where people will just analysis paralysis, look at this problem and just see it as so complex and insurmountable that they won't even take the first step. Take your first shot. It might fucking work.
You miss 100% of the shots that the government won't let you take.
Because guns are illegal.
Wait.
Just fucking ask the question.
Just ask. That's a good piece of advice. What's the worst that's going to happen?
They'll say no.
That's what they
The
always...
worst that happened to me this week was I got a job offer for $35 an hour.
That's what they always say is like for sales, right?
Yeah.
Is that something like 75% of salespeople don't ask for the sale.
Yeah.
You have to, at the end of your pitch, say cash or credit. How would you like to pay?
Man, I hard sold a guy a truck once, and then I delivered the truck, and I found out that he had an agriculture company, and I rolled onto the lot. I'm like, holy shit, this guy's got a lot of vehicles. And I tried to hard sell him more trucks.
Yeah.
And he ended up offering me a job.
Yeah.
He said no to the sale, but he's like, you're a fucking pit bull. Do you want to like sell shit for me?
Yeah.
Like,
ask for the sale is one of the best pieces of advice. Because if you're in business, you probably are selling something. Most businesses are.
You really should be.
And a lot. I've seen it a bunch of times. It's like you give the pitch and you're like, okay, well, call me if you need anything. It's like, no, ask them right there. Are you going to buy? Like, how would you like to? I always say, how would you like to pay?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, what does this taste like? I'm
would you like a bag for that?
Yeah. Cash or credit? Like, yeah. Ask for the fucking sale. Because people
or her digits.
People are just as shy as you are.
100%.
You're shy to ask for the sale. They're shy. They don't want to fucking ask you. Like,
it's like those memes of like girl across the bar like looks at you for 2 seconds, looks away. Well, I guess he's not interested, leaves. Like that's how girls ask you out, is they briefly glance at you non-committally from across the bar.
It's fine.
Stop looking at me non-committally from across the table, Willis.
It's fine. No, I was looking at you committally.
Okay. I think it's a good amount of rant. It's a good amount of shit. And
Gross.
I think alcohol is at this point dictating what we say. And I don't know. I'm trying to tie this back to our introduction. Do you have anything else to say, Mr. Squillos?
Follow me on everything. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. Vote Willows. VOTEWILOWS. I have been your co-host, Willows. That is the name that I have.
And the name that I have is Tyler. Follow me primarily Instagram. I don't Twitter so hard. Tyler _ the builder.
Underscram.
What the fuck?
Tyler underscram the builder.
Underscore the builder.
Underscram.
Or Tyler _ the Tyler. For the biz posts. And yeah, check my shit out. Just doing some contractor DIY home improvement ASMR for you motherfuckers. And I hope you enjoy.
Okay, stop calling the customers or the listeners motherfuckers.
But they are.
No, they're not. I love you guys. Thank you. Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast on Facebook. Alcohol Beyond This Point on Instagram. Thank you for listening. I kept 25% of the podcast business related this time. I was trying to keep Tyler on track because he listens to political podcasts all day and just starts ranting, and it
wasn't even that political today. It was more so like, are you going to be... Never mind.
Thank you for listening.
Bye. It's not even political though.